Hi Sue, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Emma. Emma, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. We've managed to just rectify the issue that we have with Wi-Fi here in Devon. Absolute bloody nightmare. So
Yeah,
we're recording, everything seems to be working fantastic. So thanks so much for being here, Sue. Um, as the listeners know, this is the Crossroads Cafe podcast. This podcast was created really in line with myself and Felicity at the time. Felicity's no longer on the podcast, unfortunately, but it was basically created to support women, to sort of grow and evolve. We were hearing from so many people that were at a crossroads in their life, whether that be within their business or within work or just within life in general. And they were
yeah,
like, they weren't sure which way to turn. Do you get it?
yeah, I do, absolutely. I
Yeah.
think we've all been there at some point, haven't we?
We have, and it happens, in my life, it happens pretty frequently, especially running your own business. So
Yeah,
we were finding there was a lot of women that were contacting us, especially women that were working, that were in an office job, that maybe had a year at home working from home due to the pandemic, and then were being called back into their office job and they didn't want to go. It was like they were, they just started to change their thought process around how they wanted to live their life.
yeah,
And so the questions were coming through on how can we, how can I create something I really want to create? How can I build a business that I'm passionate about? So that's sort of where Crossroads
yeah.
Cafe, yeah, it's where it started. So basically what we do within the podcast is we reach out to women just to talk to them in general about their life, about when they've been at a crossroads and how they've overcome it, and predominantly as well women that have created a business and how they went about it and how they overcome those sort of fears and the doubts and the anxieties that come with us changing our lives. So
Yeah.
thanks for being here. Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure.
I want to hear a bit about
Absolute pleasure.
your business, and what it is that you do. So tell us a bit about that first off.
Okay, so I am a health and performance coach. That's my current title anyway. It's an ever-evolving business title that I seem to have, and I'm never quite sure whether I've hit the nail on the head. But
Yeah,
in essence, I work with other self-employed mums like myself,
love it. Yeah,
to take them from frazzled to fired up. That's my sort of strap line. So I take them from the point of maybe not being able to find time for themselves, not being able to sort of look after their own health and well-being, constantly out, overwhelmed, feeling like they're juggling all the balls,
yes,
as well as obviously trying to run a business as well. And I take them to the point where they actually feel a lot more in balance with their life and with their choices that they're making. Because quite often I've found, and this is why I do what I do, because I've been sort of on the same evolution and transformation myself, is you sort of throw everything at your business and all the other stuff like gets left in the background a little bit. Quality time with the kids seems to disappear. Having actual fun with your family seems to sort of go on the back burner a bit. For me, health and well-being never has gone on the back burner because that's what I do. That's my business. But
yes,
I completely get why other women would put that down towards the bottom of the priority list when you're trying to like run a home, run a family, manage the school stuff. I was going to
yeah.
swear then, I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to swear,
You can
but the
swear if you
school,
like.
okay, the school shit in
Yes, for
that case.
you.
So I help those women find what matters to them and
Yes,
how to incorporate those important aspects of their business into their day-to-day life.
I love it.
So
Yeah,
yeah, and to bring health and well-being and stress management back up to the top of the priority list, because I'm a massive believer, if we look after ourselves first, then we can help everybody else around us. But we can't look after everybody else around us, our clients, our children, our partners, our friends, if we're not looking after ourselves first.
I hear you. I hear you. And what massively stands out in what you've said, and I get it totally. That it's that juggle, isn't it? I think as women, and I'm not saying this is all of the time, but I definitely feel for the women that I know, it's the majority of them. We're sort of the main carer for the kids. I know, like in my life and in many other, many of my friends' lives, they're the main carer for their older relatives. we sort of put all of this stuff on our shoulders, don't we? So we're trying to juggle the kids, we're trying to look after the parents, you know, we're trying to build a business, especially when you're ambitious and you're really driven, and there's you want more, there's more that you're looking for, there's more that you're after, and we're trying to do everything.
Yeah.
We're trying to do everything, and it's near on impossible. And I think we set ourselves up to fail, don't we? Because we're trying to do everything, it's not achievable, and then we burn out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think, you know, when I think back to sort of my mum's generation, certainly the generation before that, that was all they did, wasn't it? They did the caring. They didn't really go out to work. I mean, my mum dabbled in bits and pieces, but basically she was a stay-at-home mum. You know, her mum before that was most definitely a stay-at-home mum. And we're trying to be all things to all people these days, modern society, and as you say, ambitious, driven women. We are trying to not only do all of those things that our parents did for us, or our mums did for us, but also build a business and feel a sense of pride and achievement in something beyond being a mum.
Yes.
And this is not to say that those women out there who choose to not go out to work and to not build a business are doing less than those of us that do choose to go down that route. But it's all about those choices, and yeah, it's really, really hard to find that balance and to allow ourselves to let go a little bit. I think, I mean, I know from personal experience, I used to be really quite controlling of what went on in the household. Yes. I've learned over the years to let go, and the more I let go, the easier life becomes. Yes. Because I'm not stressing about whether the dishwasher's been loaded in the way I like it to be loaded, and whether the food shop's been done in the way I like it to be done, and whether we're eating, you know, absolutely 100% nutritious food every single day. You know, I just try and manage my expectations. Like you were saying, we put massive amounts of expectations on ourselves. And I think if we suss out where the expectations matter and where they don't matter. Sorry, I've got building work going on outside.
Don't you worry. That's what happens when we record live. Normally I've got the dog barking.
Can you hear
in
me
the background.
Okay?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. So yeah, if we keep the expectations high on the stuff that matters,
yes,
and lower the expectations a little bit on the stuff that doesn't matter so much, then we can find a bit more peace in our lives, right? And we can feel a little bit more chilled out, and a bit more in flow, and our energy is going to be so much higher as well. It's going to feel less overwhelmed, less stressed, more in control of our lives, really, even though we're taking the control piece out a little bit.
Yes, definitely. Giving your attention to the important stuff, isn't it? And like you say, prioritizing that. I know for me, because sometimes it's like, what do you prioritize? I get a question when people are looking to start something, like they want to start a business, or they want to start something that just makes them feel good, that, you know, they're working in a job that they feel slightly neglected, they're not enjoying, it doesn't sort of fill them up type thing. They're like, where do I start? And sometimes I think it can just be a case of going, right, just make a list, give your attention to the important stuff, make a list of the things that you want to achieve, or make a list of the things that you need to do, and then give your attention to the important stuff. We don't need to multitask as much as we feel we need to. It's like we get this kick from multitasking by trying to do it all and feeling so bloody stressed out. We don't have to do that. So it's just pulling back. So when it comes to you and your business, what have been some of the highs and the lows of your business, and you sort of growing it and building it?
Yeah, okay. So let's be brutally honest here. It's bloody hard work being self-employed.
Yes.
And there are highs and there are big lows as well. So yeah, and they come along when you least expect it as well sometimes. So my highs are most definitely my client-facing work. I just love working with my clients and helping them sort of have those light bulb moments. I was on a call on Friday, you meant on my new program, and one of the ladies just had it was like the most magnificent light bulb moment. So that really, really, you know, lights me up. It lights my clients up. It helps them change their lives. And watching that client transformation is just, you know, that's why I do what I do, because it's just huge.
Yes.
So yeah, all my highs are definitely client related, really. My lows, I would say, is the constant marketing. I just find it quite draining. In fact, I'm having a week off from like high energy marketing this week, because I've had 2 or 3 weeks where I've been really pushing things out there, and I've just got nothing to say now. So I'm a bit like, right, let's just step back.
But again,
Nobody's
that's
going to go anywhere.
prioritizing, isn't it? That's saying to yourself, right, what
Yeah.
is it I need right now? And doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So I've gone through periods of time when I felt my written copy hasn't been great. I've really worked on that. I hired a copywriting coach actually to help me with that. And I'm feeling much more comfortable with that now. But that went through a really, really challenging phase, I would say. I wasn't necessarily low, but it did feel really hard work. And obviously, when you don't get the success that you're hoping for, you don't hit the goals that you've set yourself, that can be quite hard as well. And of course, working on your own, you don't necessarily have those people around you, although I have to say I have found some wonderful business friends to support me and pick me up. But generally speaking, you have those times when things aren't quite going as you'd hoped. And that can be, again, really quite hard on the mental health, on your mood, on your motivation to keep going. And it goes in such big peaks and troughs. I wouldn't put for anything. So anybody who's listening to this and that is thinking, oh my God, that sounds like really hard work. I love what I do. I love that I have the freedom and flexibility to work on my terms, around my schedule, and fit things around my family and my kids and, the things I want to do in my life as well. But it is hard. Yeah. It can be hard at times.
Yeah, I want to pick up on that, a couple of things that you said, because I know, especially when you're first starting out, there's a lot of input, isn't there? There's a lot that you need to put in, and you don't see many returns, many gains. And we touched on this last week, actually. Once you decide on whatever it is that you want to do in business, what you want to create, it is a long game. It's really being in it for the long game, and sort of really managing your own expectations. So setting goals, but being realistic with those goals, because I think a lot of the times we set these goals and think, oh, we can achieve this in 12 months or 6 months, when actually it takes a hell of a lot longer than you think it does. But if you're consistent with your actions over a period of time, you will look back and you'll go, bloody hell, I've achieved so much. But that takes a while to get to. But one thing you touch on, which is the mental health implications, because I don't think we talk about this so much in business. We tend to be thinking about, like you mentioned, the marketing or the tactics when it comes to growing a business, what we need to do, some kind of a sales funnel, how we get our product or service out there. But we don't always tend to focus too much on our mindset. And I'm always about that 80-20 rule. And I am a strong believer in the 4% rule, and that actually 80% of growing and building and being a successful business owner is mindset, and 20% is tactics. Absolutely. Because the tactics and the algorithms on your social media platforms, they're changing consistently. So you have to be, that's something that's ever evolving. But your mindset is the one thing that's not, obviously it changes, but you're the person that's in control of that. So I think maintaining your mental health while running a business is one of the biggest hurdles that we have to overcome. And that's why
I would agree.
Yeah, I love what you do, Sue, because that's what you're all about. You're all about sleeping well. I know on your notes you spoke about habits being regular exercise, drinking water. And I know this is just basic stuff, but all of this stuff, if it's done consistently, is what's going to help you build. Well, it's going to be the foundations of you building a business and it being a successful one.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If we don't get the basics sorted, you can't build from wobbly foundations. No. So you have to be prioritizing your health. And I'm not talking about going to the gym every day. 10 minutes of exercise a day, going out on a walk, getting some fresh air, as you say, drinking water. prioritizing sleep, prioritizing eating well, actually making time to eat. I've got a client at the moment who has, one of her actions is to eat lunch because she gets so engrossed in her work, she forgets to eat lunch. And that might sound, you know, fine to some people, but it's not great, because she then gets to 4 o'clock in the afternoon and she hits the wall.
She's shattered. Yeah.
So, and she's then not in a great place to spend time with her children, because she's you know, not fueled her body well. So we have to go back to those foundations. And when we get those sorted, then the mood in our brain starts to shift as well, because when we've slept well and when we're well hydrated and we're eating well and moving well, we're not only supporting our physical health, but we're supporting our mental health too. One of the big aspects, I'm just looking over at my desk, one of the big aspects that has become quite important for me is writing stuff down. So I have a journal, and I just, you know, jot my thoughts down, and it gets it out the brain, you know, because they can work, aren't they? And they can build into something bigger than they need to be if we don't extract them and somehow get them out of our heads, and whether that's talking or writing or whatever. But for me journaling, I'm currently doing like a daily journaling practice, only for 5 minutes, if that, just to jot what's gone through my head during the day, how I've been feeling, where my energy levels have been at, that sort of thing.
Definitely. And I love that.
And you mentioned about reflection as well.
Yes, self-reflection. I know, I'm just going over your notes, being able to look and go, right, well, things weren't so great today. Why weren't they? Now, a typical example of that is me today. I got out of bed at 8:30 this morning. I'm normally up at 6, but I had the worst night's sleep ever last night. My youngest was up. She got me up. I normally, before I go to bed, I've got a bit of an evening routine and I get into bed at a good time. But last night it didn't happen. I was in bed by 11:30. So I sort of set myself up to have a bit of a shit day the following day. And I feel it. I feel it. So when I've not had a great evening, like you mentioned, when the sleep's not been great, and I woke up this morning, I wasn't feeling 100%. It's like I feel I'm starting off on the back foot. And then it's this, I have to focus on the thoughts, because then I'm going, oh God, I've got this, and this, and this to do today. I'm not feeling it. I'm doubting myself. Have I, you know, those limiting beliefs that always are coming up. Even people that are hugely successful and run, you know, multi-million-pound businesses, they still have shit that they're having to deal with on a daily basis, thoughts that are going through their head. You can't get away from it, but you just have to learn to work on it and have you mentioned, I'm sure I don't know if you said it's like more of a backpack, but you have a bit of a toolkit of things that you'll do.
I wrote about my toolkit on Mental Health Day on Sunday.
Yes, so you have a toolkit. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, okay. So it's quite a big toolkit, and it might sound a bit overwhelming to anybody listening, but the bigger the toolkit, the more items that you can pick from, right? So my toolkit's ever expanding, and it started off probably some years ago, predominantly with exercise. That's where I've sort of come from on this like evolution of my own. But it includes a daily walk. I have a dog, so that's handy because I'm forced out on a daily walk. But actually, like yesterday, I didn't have my daily walk, and my mood was just all over the place yesterday. I took myself off for a walk in the end at about 5:30 in the evening. So I've just got to get out the house. I've got to go on a walk. So that is a crucial aspect for me. Obviously, eating well, I've mentioned. Sleeping, prioritizing sleep, I've mentioned. The journaling. I meditate, not necessarily every day, but when I feel that I need to pick that out of my toolkit, that will get pulled out of my toolkit. And again, it's not for hours on end. I think people have this sort of idea of meditation that you've got to sort of sit in silence with candles and crystals and, you know, sit there for 3 hours and just let your body sort of soak it all up. Well, you know, a couple of minutes sitting in silence on your own with no distraction is just wonderful. Gosh, what else is in my toolkit? Saturday afternoon baths have made it in there in recent weeks. I see a Reiki and angel healer, and actually I do distance Reiki with another healer as well. I have these oracle cards that I make use of. I've got various packs of them, so lots and lots of different things that I dip into. Some more often than others. So the daily walks are quite literally a daily walk, and obviously drinking water happens all the time. But of the other things are more infrequent, and it just depends
Yes.
on what I feel I need
Hey,
at a moment in time.
definitely. And I think that this is like such a fabulous tool for anybody, you know, all of us, every single person,
Yeah,
having a toolkit. And the whole concept of this toolkit is basically, if you visualize a toolkit, and in that toolkit you have got all of these different things, practices, whatever it may be, that are going to help you feel better about yourself, help, you know, get you out of a bit of a funk, you know, out of a bit
yeah,
of an uncomfortable feeling. And you just dip into that toolkit and you pick out the thing that you feel that you need the most at that moment in time. So Sue mentioned maybe going for a walk, having a glass of water, eating something nutritious, laying down and shutting your eyes for 10 minutes, breathing, having a bath, whatever it may be,
yeah,
but you can dip into it. So I think we all need to sort of, the chase, it's ever evolving. There's always going to be a chase. There's always another level to whatever it is that you want to achieve. And
yeah,
sometimes it's really important to pull back, um, sort of reflect on what, have that self-reflection on what it is that you need at that moment in time, and then go down that road.
yeah.
So I love that. With
And
regards to,
realize that things don't take ages. You know, you can transform your mindset in a matter of minutes if you've picked the right thing out of the toolbox.
yes,
Um,
definitely.
because often it's just about stepping away from whatever's going through your head, or writing, like I was saying
Yes,
earlier, writing stuff down.
yes,
The more we sit and just dwell on it, the bigger it gets. So the sooner you take a piece of action, even if it's only for a couple of minutes, the sooner you're going to get over that funk, as you call it. I love that word.
yes.
And feel so much more positive about whatever it is that's currently going on in your life.
Definitely. I love that. And we say this every week, but I'm going to repeat it because I think repetition is the key, and we learn
Absolutely.
through repetition.
Yeah.
That everything starts with a thought. So I'm all about your thoughts create a feeling. Depending on how we feel, depends on how we act. And
Yeah.
depending on how we act, depends on the results we either get or we don't get. So if we feel like shit, if we think negative thoughts, we feel like shit. If we feel like shit, there's a good chance we're going to take very little action. And if we take very little action, like Sue's just said, we get very little results. So it all
Yeah.
stems from the way that we think. So if we can work on the mindset and we can work on our thoughts, overcoming the doubts, the anxieties, the uncertainty, the fear, on all that kind of stuff, we can really create the life that we want to live. And 9 times out of 10, the stuff that we're stressing about and the stuff that we're worrying about is just a thought, isn't it? When you think about it,
Yeah.
normally it's just a thought. Whatever we're freaking out about tends not to have actually happened yet in real life. It's just something we're thinking. We're thinking we're incapable of doing something or achieving something, or something's going to go wrong. And then we're stressing, and then the results we're getting are really bad. But it
Yeah.
still stems from a thought.
Yeah. And often the stuff perhaps isn't the big stuff either.
Oh,
You
definitely
know,
not.
we're not always stressing about big important stuff, are we? It's often small stuff. But
Yes.
yeah, if we don't move it on, if we don't do something about it, then it does get bigger, and it feels like a big thing then, even if it is quite a small thing.
Definitely. So when it comes to business, how do you treat yourself when you have reached a goal, or maybe you've brought in a new client, or how do you celebrate your successes?
This was when you sent me these questions through, I really racked my brains on this one. I mean, um, sometimes I'll have a glass of wine or something fizzy. I'm in a particular membership group on Facebook, and one of the things that the lady who runs it has established in the group is she calls it ring the bell. So you go into the group, you put hashtag ring the bell, and you share whatever good stuff is going on in your business. But people often are sharing other stuff. So somebody went in yesterday and shared that they'd just run the London Marathon a couple of weeks
Nice.
ago. So completely unbusiness related, but just sharing like that is really nice. And then you get a lovely warm feeling when people respond and congratulate you on your successes. So I think sharing it with other like-minded individuals who get how hard it is sometimes to be self-employed, and get how hard it is to sometimes to to convert the sale and get the clients on board. Having them, you know, geeing you on and congratulating you and celebrating with you is really powerful. The other thing I do, and I'm going back to the writing again, but most Fridays I try and sit down and write out my wins and learnings for the week. So wins being anything that's gone well. It's not necessarily that client related. It's not necessarily that I've won a new client. It's not necessarily that my bank balance is looking amazing. It might be as simple as I recorded an incredible podcast with Emma, you know, and that would be, you know, a win. And then the learnings help me shape future wins, because even some of the learnings can be really, really positive, even though when you first start thinking about them, it seems like a negative connotation. Actually, when you start writing about it, the brain starts to process it and go, oh, okay, so I could have done it that way instead, and that would have been so much better. Or actually, you spent too much time just faffing about on social media on Wednesday. What a waste of time. You could have gone and, you know, done something more beneficial for yourself. So that's been a really good thing to do. As the laptop lid closes, spend 5 minutes or so writing out those wins and learnings. And then the great thing about that is then at the end of the year, I can reflect back on how the year's been. And I've got all this wonderful insights as to what's gone on. And you were saying earlier about sometimes it's hard to see the progress, but reflecting on stuff shows you that progress. Well, this is a great way, right, of looking back over the last month, the last 3 months, however long, and seeing actually, look what I was writing about back in January versus what I'm writing about now, and how has that evolved and changed.
Definitely. I love that. It's funny because there's so many women that I speak to and they all struggle with that question because they don't always celebrate their successes, because it's like, you know, when you're ambitious, or especially when you're running a business you're hugely passionate about and you've got these goals, we're so easily on to the next goal. So once we achieve one client, we're on to the next, or once we help someone overcome their fear or whatever it may be, we're ready to go on to the next. It is that just being present in the moment and reflecting on what we've achieved, and just being grateful for it. Grateful of all the people that, like you say, have maybe celebrated with us, or grateful for everybody that we've maybe lent on, whether that could be my partner or my mum that have helped me with the kids while I've been able to get on and do something else. Do you know what I mean? And just appreciating where we are at and what we've achieved. I think it's so important. But it is funny because I do see it a lot. There's so many women that they're on to the next thing. Once they've achieved something, they might shut their laptop down, but their thoughts are straight away, right, where's the next? Where am I going next? Which is that's how you build. That's how you grow.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't say that's how I am. I just don't necessarily like, you know, throw a party when I've reached the success point, I suppose. Inside I'm celebrating, and I definitely would share it with my husband, and often with the kids as well. I've got, you know, slightly older kids, one's at uni, so, you know, adult children effectively. But yeah, I know some people who are, you know, go on the full like party vibe when they've hit a certain success point, but I guess that's not quite where I go. But I internally celebrate for sure.
Good. And just tell us what's next for your business. Where are you going next? Have you got anything coming up? What have you got going on?
Well, I've just started, literally started it last week. We had our first call on Friday, a brand new program. It's called Fired Up Business Leader. And it's aimed at people like yourself and other ambitious self-employed mums. And as I was saying at the start of the call, this is about helping people to go from frazzled to fired up. So hence the name of the program. And we're digging into like all that stuff I was talking about earlier, the values and priorities of those women, not just for their business, but for themselves, their relationship with their children, their relationship with their partners, their relationship with their friendships. And by digging into what matters to them, we can then start to unpick what they need to change. So they're on the program to re-find that balance, that all elusive work-life balance that seemingly we can't find. I promise you it's out there if you go looking for it. but I'm helping them actually implement the changes they know they need to make. These are bright women. They know that they need to be eating better, moving better, sleeping better, focusing on their health, prioritizing themselves first, but they're struggling to actually make that happen.
Yes.
So I'm there to support and coach them and mentor them in actually putting those actions into place, making the changes they want to make in order to live the life that they had hoped they would be living as a self-employed business owner and mum.
Yeah, I love that. And if anyone wants to contact you, how best can they do that if they want any more information?
So you can either go to my website, which is a slightly unusual name actually, and I'm sort of slightly regretting having given it this name, but it's FitterVie, which is FITTRVIE.com.
Yes.
Or you can find me on Instagram, and my handle on there is suerichards.coaching. They're the best places to hang out with me. I am on Facebook, but they're probably the best ways to hang out with me at the moment.
Super. So what we'll do is we'll make sure we include all the feeds and the links to your Instagram and to the website on the feed of the podcast. And we also upload the video and pop it onto YouTube, so you can watch it on YouTube. And yeah, we'll put the links in there too. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being part of the podcast. I know we've had a little bit of interference. I'm going to try and tweak it as much and best I can. But I hope you've heard me fairly well.
I've heard you fine. I was just frustrated by the drilling or whatever it was that was going on outside. It's just sod's law, isn't it? That it does it just as you're in recording mode.
Don't worry about it.
I hope I came across clearly as well.
No, totally. So much value. I'm sure everybody will overcome the little bit of drilling noise that they've heard in the background, so don't stress about it. Thanks, Sue. Well, listen, we'll be catching up soon. Take care, everybody. And again, thanks for being part of it, Sue. I will see you soon. Take care.
Thanks very much, Emma. Take care.
See you later. Bye.